The following is a listener-supported ministry from the Grace Evangelical Society.
Some people say the earth is flat. Do they really believe this? Does the Bible or science or reason answer this question? And even if you really believe it, what are the dangers of focusing on this too much? Hello, friend. Welcome to Grace in Focus. We're glad you're with us today. And we're coming to you from the Grace Evangelical Society. We have a website, faithalone.org, where you can find out more about us. You can find our daily blog, find out about our online seminary, and you can find a free subscription to our magazine, also called Grace in Focus. It's a wonderful magazine, full size, full color, and great articles. Free if you live in the 48 contiguous United States. Otherwise, you only pay postage. Find your free subscription at faithalone.org. Now, with today's question and answer discussion, here are Bob Wilkin and Ken Yates.
We are going to go off on an issue that is really not anywhere near the focus of Grace Evangelical Society, but it does come up in some of the conferences we do, and we got at least one person who wrote in and asked us to address it and offered us some money if we would do so, and we returned it because for a number of reasons.
But the main reason is it's too far afield from what we do.
Right.
And besides, we don't want people sending us money to say, hey, if you will study our key doctrine here, we'll pay you money. No, we're happy if you just send in a question. If it's of interest to us, we'll study it without you having to make a contribution. We welcome all contributions, don't get me wrong. But we don't want contributions so that we can study topic X or something. So,
well, Bob has more integrity than I do. If you come and say, hey, if you study this, I'll take you out for barbecue, I'm probably down for that. So.
This was an overseas trip where this came up.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is the flat earth. And it comes up
now,
again.
This sounds like a joke, right? Because nobody believes in a flat earth, but they actually believe in a modified form of the flat earth. And some of these people are conservative Christians, and some of them are even focus-free grace.
Oh, absolutely. I was in a foreign country. We were doing question and answers on free grace salvation, rewards and things like that.
And they agreed with you on those issues.
Yeah, it was very big. We were having a great discussion.
But then they brought up this issue.
Well, a guy in the back raised his hand. He goes, do you believe the earth is round? And I had no idea where that was coming from. The way he worded it was, do you believe the world's a globe? And I did not realize that many of the people there believed in a flat earth. They were saying the earth is flat, there's no moon landing.
No astronauts.
No astronauts. The pilots,
they're all in on it.
They're all in on it. They
and
know
all
it.
the astronauts are in it. There's no International Space Station.
Right.
There was no lunar landing.
Like, for example, they said that the first Russian cosmonaut, his granddaughter was coming out saying that he had said it was all fake. And they were going on and on that there were only 6,000 stars, that the sun is really small.
Oh, really? And then the moon's real close.
The moon and the sun.
Like a couple hundred miles.
And it's a disk.
Oh, it's a disc?
I don't know if they all believe that.
And by the way, I talked to a friend who explained it to me because I'm like, how could anybody who is familiar with, for example, the Marianas Trench in the ocean or the Himalayas, how could they not say that the earth is at least 5 miles deep? It has to be at least, because the Himalayas are 30,000 feet. That's about 5-6 miles. And the Marianas Trench is about 5 miles deep. So you'd have to say that the earth is like a cube or something, or it's like a square or a rectangle. Even if you say it's flat, you'd have to say it does go up that high. You can't say that the earth is just totally flat with no elevation. There are no mountains, there are no hills. I mean, we can see mountains and hills, right? Well, I found out that that's not what they teach. They don't teach that it's flat. They teach that it's like a snow globe.
Right.
So they do believe it's a globe, but not completely round. It's flat on the bottom, but round on the top.
Like a canopy. In that canopy, that's where the stars and the moon and the sun are.
Right.
Now, there may be differences.
And they take some of this from Genesis chapters 1 and 2.
Which we're going to get into here in a little bit. But I will say that it was interesting that someone was going to say, well, what does this really have to do with really anything? Well, right after that overseas conference, we had one here in the States in Georgia, and a guy came up to me during the question and answer, and he said that he believed in the flat earth. And he asked a question, well, how does this deal with rewards? In other words, what will the kingdom be like? And so he said, I never really thought about it. He goes, I believe in the flat earth, but will it be different in the kingdom and stuff like that? So I never thought about that either. But Bob, you're working on the GES Old Testament commentary, and you got the book of Genesis.
Right.
I know that they appeal to Genesis. Well, not just Genesis. But when I was over in that other country, they said that there were, I think they said 40 verses that they appealed to, and one of them was the four corners of the earth.
Right.
That the angels will gather the elect from the four corners of the earth.
Which is figurative language. We use it all the time.
But they're saying that no, their view is that if you take the Bible literally, then there's four corners to the earth, and there's not four corners to a globe. These are some of the issues that they're bringing up, and you and I would say, and I think most people would say, well, like you said, well, that's a figurative expression.
Right.
From the four corners of the earth. I use that phrase, even though I believe the earth is a globe or round. I say, we use it. It's a phrase. But you mentioned in your experiences that they also bring up some things in Genesis.
Well, they talk about the separating of the waters and the firmament and this type of thing, and I'm not familiar with all of their arguments. But let me just say a couple of quick things. Number one, I wouldn't care about this except for the fact that some of these people get so caught up in it that they talk more about this than they do about salvation by grace through faith apart from works. We were talking about some of the people who hold to the pre-wrath rapture and how we have some friends that are so caught up in that they're an evangelist for that rather than evangelist for the free gift of eternal life. And the same thing can happen with the flat earth, that they want to engage people on the flat earth more than they want to engage people on the free gift of eternal life.
It's coming. It'll be here before you know it. What am I talking about? The Grace Evangelical Society's National Conference 2025, May 19th through 22nd at Camp Copus, an absolutely beautiful campground in North Texas, right on the lake with lots of recreation, great food, a great place to stay, wonderful fellowship, and wonderful free grace Bible teaching. Information and online registration now at faithalone.org/events. First-timers waive registration fees. faithalone.org/events.
This could turn people off, right?
Sure.
Let's say you're convinced there was a lunar landing, which I am, and I'm not convinced that this was filmed in Hollywood, and I'm not convinced that all the astronauts and all the airline pilots are in on this. That makes no sense. I am convinced there's an International Space Station. And these people don't believe there's satellites either.
Right.
How do they think our cell phones work? I mean, I don't know how they think GPS works. I mean, I don't know. But the thing about it is, if you hold this view, you almost push people away from the faith. Here's where this comes from, where I'm somewhat sympathetic to them. They are upset about the fact that a lot of people reject the 6 days of creation.
Yeah, and that's an important point. They think, again, going back to the four corners, that if you take the Bible literally, then you're going to believe in a flat earth. And one of those things they're talking about is the young earth and also the flood. But go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just say and announce, and I've said this before, I believe in 624 literal days of creation. I believe the earth is around 6,200 years old. I believe the universe is around 6,200 years old. I believe that the flood was a worldwide flood that covered the entire globe. It didn't just cover part of it.
Now, let me ask you
something. Now, by the way, how did they have a worldwide flood if the world is flat on the bottom? I don't understand. It went around to the top, and then God miraculously had it not just fall off into space or something. I don't get how it flooded the flat part.
They're saying, I'm assuming, that a globe could not have a worldwide flood. That's their position. The
flat Earth people are saying that?
I'm guessing that they would say that.
So they would say we have the same problem.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Well, I would say, look, if you're in North America and you've got water going over the tops of mountains, how would that be any different than water going over the tops of mountains in South America? In other words, if you've got gravity and it's holding things in, it's going to hold the water in. God's certainly able to keep that. But if it's flat on the bottom, it seems kind of odd because, well, I guess you would say you don't need water under the bottom because nobody's living there.
Right.
So you'd say the water only went over the top and it's a miracle that it just went across the top or something. But all I'm saying is this. I hold to the young earth. I hold to 6 literal days of creation. But I don't consider this a saving issue. And I realize a lot of people have bought into evolution, which I think is a tremendous mistake.
That is part of their argument. I know that because they said that this is equivalent to the evolution issue.
Right.
You're saying, the 4 corners of the earth is figurative.
It is figurative, yeah.
But what they're saying is...
And I'll give you a quick illustration from my doctoral program. When I was at Dallas, they asked me in one of my oral exams about the influence of Copernicus and Galileo on New Testament studies. And I said, well, they showed that the earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around, and this changed the way that New Testament interpreters and Old Testament interpreters interpreted the Bible. And so things like the 4 corners of the earth, became figurative language and that sort of thing. And I said, so, that had an impact on New Testament studies. Well, that was an acceptable answer. But, for people to say no, that I think the flat earth people say it's the sun that revolves around the earth, right? I don't know.
It's a disc that moves or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Is that it?
It don't go around the earth. No, I don't think it goes around. I don't think, maybe it moves around the dome. I don't know. I don't
Something.
know.
Okay. But so I'm basically don't know enough about this position to discuss it as to explain their views, other than to say I don't think, based on what I do understand about their position, that it makes sense. But also what I want to say is, even if you hold that position, please don't let that get in the way of church planning.
Well, see, that's what I would say.
Or in the way of evangelism.
Even if you hold it, I would go a step further. Just don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Talk about it amongst yourselves.
Bring it up in your family, yeah. Bring it up maybe in some specialized context, but avoid letting it hinder your ministry.
You could tell Bob and I are not experts on this, but it does come up.
And I think we're going to be publishing a magazine article on it here pretty soon, or maybe a journal article by somebody who does know more about it.
Okay. Well, we hope if you run into it, this is helpful to you. And until then,
keep grace in focus.
We would love to know where you are when you are listening to us. Please take a short minute to send us the call letters of this station and the city where you are listening and how many times a week you listen. Thank you. You will be helping us with our stewardship. Send it to radio@faithalone.org. That's radio@faithalone.org. We are so thankful for our financial partners who keep us on the air. Every gift is tax deductible and very much appreciated. If you'd like to find out how you can give, go to faithalone.org. On our next episode is the friend in Proverbs who sticks closer than a brother, talking about Jesus Christ. Hope you will come back and join us, and until then, let's keep grace in focus.
The proceeding has been a listener-supported ministry from the Grace Evangelical Society.